Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Gavinsky's Tutorials. Today I'm looking at the new app by BLEASS called Slow Machine. And if you've got a feeling of deja vu hearing me say I'm looking at the new BLEASS app, it's because, I've been saying that a lot recently. BLEASS have been absolutely pumping out apps like there's no tomorrow. They're having an extremely productive lockdown. It's great to see. Especially because there's been no drop in quality. Some developers pump out apps and, the quality's not always there. I have to say, BLEASS have not let me down with any of their recent apps at all. They've all been fantastic. So, Slow Machine, this can really do a few different things. I mean, one thing it can do is it can just do traditional tape stops and that kind of thing. Another thing is it can just be used to pitch things down. But the most interesting aspect is the sequencer, where you can set up very complex and interesting changes in pitch and rhythm. It's really cool. Let me just let you very quickly hear one example of it in action. I love that. So that's just one little example to start with. So before I go any further, let me just mention I've got 5 copies of apps to give away to subscribers to the channel. And actually I've just popped in and edited this part of the video after the fact because I just got word back from BLEASS. For today's video, they're willing to let the 5 winners choose any BLEASS FX app that they want to win. So you're not limited to just winning Slow Machine. This is good because it means you can, if you really like this app and you really want to buy it, you can just go and buy it immediately after watching this video, but you still have a chance to win another BLEASS FX app. So please pay attention, everybody. You can only win a BLEASS FX app. You can't win BLEASS Alpha Synth. You can't win BLEASS Groovebox, but you can win any of their FX. So if you're not sure what apps BLEASS have, what FX apps they have, just go and take a look at the App Store and then come back and write your comment. Look very carefully at the pinned comment at the top of the YouTube comment section. All the details of what you've got to do are there. Please read it carefully, everybody, because you need to mention in your comment what app you would like to win, and follow the other instructions, of course, as well. So read the comment carefully, everyone. Follow the instructions, and all the details of when the winners will be announced, etc., are there. Good luck, everyone. Now, let's continue with the video. Let's listen first to a few more examples of this in action. Now again, these are just presets. Obviously you could tweak this. For example, this one could definitely do with, we could change this. We could change this to a ramp, and we could change this one to one of these. I like that more. You see, one thing it can do is these kind of detuning effects like we're getting here. By the way, everyone, you need to have your transport running, otherwise you're not going to get anything happening. This is great. These bars show that these are being randomized. And by the way, there's also a dice button to completely randomize presets. I love how BLEASS have started adding randomizers to their FX apps. This is really cool. Now let me change the resolution over here, let you hear that. Wait. Great. So you see it can also do these kind of gating effects. This is one of my favorites. This one's a bit slow to kick in, be patient. This one's very cool. Great one. Okay. So let's take a look at what's going on here. Let me go to the default one. So if we go to this slowdown section, we can see that we've got a loop here, but I'll come and explain that in a second. First, I want to look at the speed part. So here, this has been slowed down half speed. So it's also at half the pitch as well, right? So we can slow it down by different amounts, pitch it down different amounts. We gotta wait until it gets to the end of the loop before we'll hear that. Now this is a bit too low for this sound, so let's just keep it higher. And then I can set this loop size. So if I put this to a fast speed, we'll also get these kind of slightly rhythmic effects. Now quantize, if this is on, when I change the loop speed, it will change immediately. If there's clicking, by the way, you can increase the fader, and that should help to avoid clicking. But, you know, this is not something that sounds great to play with live, this changing of the loop size. That's something that's kind of better to set and forget. You sometimes get away without clicks there, but not always, even with the high fade. This filter, or quantize. Okay, so quantize on. If I change this, let's say, to 1/8, it's going to wait until it gets to the end before it starts to change. So that's quantize. Now here we have a filter we can turn on. So the filter will limit the bandwidth that gets processed, that gets slowed down. So here it's only slowing down the mid section. I could expand it, bring in more lows, etc., etc. So that's the filter. Now over here we have this time stop. I'll do this over here on this choral thing. Okay, so time stop. We have a few different modes here. We got speeds over here. So first of all, we can stop things manually. So then we've got complete control over how slow we go and how quickly we make our changes. For example, we could start slowly and then speed up or whatever. But we can also press here to get these. Now you'll see when I press here, when I press, this thing here appears. And you'll notice that when I press in different places, this will look different. So let me show you. So look at that time and look at that curve. And see over here how the curve is completely different. So basically, pressing on the y-axis, we'll get different times. Like down here, it's a much shorter stop. Up here, it's a slower stop. Now on the x-axis, we're getting the curve. So here, it's going to take more time for the curve to kick in. And over here, it's going to be much more immediate. The mode is also important. So here, for example, we're going to get just an immediate stop. Notice there is some clicking here. So this may be because of my buffer. Let me see. Change the buffer. Change the buffer down to 64. See how this goes. while still getting clicking there. So if you want to use the time stop, I think it doesn't work that well on sustained sounds at times. Let's try it on the drums. See, much better on percussive sounds. So be aware of that for the time stop. Personally, for me, the time stop is not a very important aspect of this app. I'm far more interested in the sequencer. Now we also have this hold thing here. So if I press hold, when I press here, it's going to stop, and it will stay stopped until I go and press hold again. So that'll just allow you not to have to keep your finger there the whole time. Okay, now as mentioned, we've got the level for the mix. I'll turn off the sequencer. So we can have a mix of dry and wet if we want. Same with the time stop. So you don't have to stop all of your audio. Let's go to the sequencer window. So the audio the sequencer gets will first go through this slowdown section. So if I turn speed to off here, then here, when the sequencer's bars are up at the top, the audio is just going to be running at its normal pitch. But if I say set the speed to half, then now this value at the top of the sequencer is going to be half the original pitch. And then if I go down here, again we're going to be bringing the speed down even further. So this level will be 3/4 speed, 2/3 speed, half speed, 1/3, 1/4, and so on. Now we can just drag along this to set different things. Very, very nice and easy to do. How this behaves will depend on whether grid snap is on or off. So if I put grid snap on, now when I start moving things here, it's going to snap to these points. So these will be harmonically pleasing intervals, like sevenths, fifths, octaves, and that kind of thing. So it really depends what kind of thing you're going for. If you want something that's a bit weird and a bit eerie, you're probably going to want the grid snap off. Now we have this length here. So this is the length of the sequence. And here the resolution. This is the length of the steps. So now each of these steps is a half bar. And so on and so on. Another important button when we're talking about changing these kind of things is over here on the right. This fade value. This will fade between the steps. So again, if you're getting clicking or anything, you can play with this. Now another really important thing is when we click down at the bottom here, we can change the shapes. So for example, here we've got a ramp. Now here, we're changing how steep that is. If we click again, now we're getting a downwards ramp. And again, we can change how steep it is. Here, it's just got a flat level, and we can change it again by dragging. And if we do this one, now it's gonna link to this one, but we can still change the start point higher or lower. But here we cannot change the end point. The end point is gonna always meet the start of whatever point the next sequence begins at. So if we go through some of the presets, you can see different ways that the sequencer has been set up. And then of course you can tweak these to your own liking. Now, amount over here on the right is a really important button. Do you see how these are changing when I play with the amount? So if I put the amount up, the bottom point on the sequencer will be 0. Let me change to a different one for this. Right. So, see when the sequencer comes around, we'll get silence here. Right, so amount is at 100, it's going to be allowed to go down completely to 0. I mean, that's going to stop the sound. With lower amount values, we're going to get much smaller pitch changes. For example, watch this level. If I just bring this down here, and basically now the lowest pitch it can go down to is going to be 3/4 speed. Again, remember that what that really means in relation to the original will also depend on what we've set here. So this can be useful for doing some kind of detuning type effects. If we bring the amount down to 0, then the sequencer is not going to do anything, by the way. Like, for example, here, if I turn slowdown off, just wait till it gets to the end of the loop. Right? And if the sequencer amount is 0, then now this is just not doing anything at all. So listen, when I start bringing in a little bit of amount. This can be cool for just getting small kind of detuning effects. See, here we've got this dry wet knob set to around 50%. So it's basically acting as a kind of detune. So that's one way you can think of this app as giving you extremely fine control over detuning effects on pads and things like that. Really, really cool. This is what that's like wet. Now Now we bring the amount up, getting much more extreme effect. Now we've got this randomness knob. So here there's 0 randomness, we can go all the way right up to 100. So that means it won't be actually playing what's shown here. It's going to randomize around that to a certain extent, defined by how extreme we've set the randomness settings. So there we go, everyone. BLEASS Slow Machine. Very enjoyable effect. Quick review then. I really enjoy this. I think the sequencer is very, very innovative. As we saw, this is pretty flexible, so you can do something a bit more like a traditional gating and tremolo type thing. You can also use it for real fine controlled detuning functions. Very nice for pads and things like that. Then you can also just do much more crazy, different sequenced type things. And then you've also got the tape time stop effects and so on. So really versatile. I did get some clicking. I mean, it could be something where I'm not that familiar with the app yet. So maybe I would find ways to avoid that clicking. But in general, there's very little clicking with this, and certainly it does click a lot less than a similar app, which I tried some time ago. Most of the time these tape stops and things are very smooth, but on sustained sounds, it's mostly not going to be very advisable to use this mode for, for the time stops. Well, yeah, bit of click in there. So you're going to be better off using these ones. You're going to get a smoother transition. And we will get clicks from time to time when switching presets, but I think that's just the nature of these kind of apps. That's going to be unavoidable. In general, if you're performing live with this, I think you're much more likely to be making changes in the sequencer rather than jumping between presets like that. Sticking to link type changes is going to help to avoid clicks and things as well. So, thank you for watching, everyone. If you haven't done it already, please give this a thumbs up, etc., etc. If you're watching this after the prizes have already been handed out, it probably means you're not a subscriber, or maybe that you haven't clicked the notification bell, so you're not getting notified when I put new videos out. So make sure you subscribe if you're interested in this kind of stuff. If you want to keep up with iOS apps, I'll also start doing some desktop apps as well in the coming months. So if you're into that kind of thing, subscribe. I usually put out 1, sometimes 2 videos a week. I almost always have apps to give away with the videos as well. So thanks everyone. Thanks for your support. I do appreciate it. Thanks especially to the people who donate money on PayPal. I really appreciate that. And it does help because YouTube ad revenue sucks. All right, thanks. See you in the next video, guys. Cheers. Good luck.